For more on Tomb Sweeping Day, we're joined by Dottie Li. She's the founder and CEO of TransPacific Communications here in Washington, D.C. Dottie, thanks so much for joining us. First, can you tell us about the significance of this holiday of Qingming in China?
Thank you, Roee, for having me. Yes, this is one of the most important holidays in the Chinese culture. It's a cultural ritual, and it's ingrained in our culture, of course, for 2,500 years. And it's a way of paying our respect, pay our tribute to our loved ones, our ancestors. It's a way of showing that we keep the tradition going on this Qingming Day, which is a tomb sweeping day. And it's gone on for thousands of years, that we need to have this occasion to pay the respect and show our love for our ancestors and our deceased loved ones.
So we spoke last year, right, when COVID started, and there was all of these restrictions in place. How are things different this year?
Well, things are looking better, as your story suggested. People feel a sense of relief. People feel comforted that they actually could go on to the site of their, the grave site of their loved ones to pay respect in person versus what they had to do last year. It was the so-called cloud tomb sweeping, online appointments being booked. So it was such a hard time for people who wanted to do that. But this year, things are looking better. People are able to show up in person, on site. However, there's still some restrictions.
Could we see permanent changes to the way the day is marked in China?
I think it's going to be somewhat of a hybrid situation where you do see people coming in person, but then there are restrictions and cautionary measurements such as masks, such as sanitizers, hand sanitizers being offered to people. And I think people still have the option of booking some kind of appointments online if they chose to.
And we know that in China, some of these changes, the easing of restrictions, are possible because COVID is relatively under control. But the day is also marked elsewhere in the region where COVID is still very much not under control. So what's happening there?
Well, you're right. In other parts of Asia, things are not as under control in terms of combating COVID-19. So as you could tell, there are other countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, people are calling, the government is calling for limited numbers of people, such as 8 per group to show up, or 2 persons per household, and of course booking appointments and avoiding peak hours, using the weekday times to show up at these tomb sites. And I think these measurements are called for, very much called for, and they also have cemetery workers wearing masks and offering hand sanitizers. I think that's another way of avoiding the virus from spreading even further.